This is the Vsb Tv 11 News for Wednesday, April 9th. I'm Peter Cattell. Our top story. One of North America's leading experts on global investment, Stephen Beattie of KPMG, told the annual general meeting of the Bermuda Chamber of Commerce today that the opportunities for private and public partnerships have never been greater, and that Bermuda is well placed to benefit. The head of KPMG's Global Infrastructure for the Americas spoke to Vsb News' Brian Darby afterwards about his well-received address.
Well, I've been coming here for about 10 years, and it's interesting to see the transitions that have been ongoing. I'm really very happy that the debate about the future of Bermuda's infrastructure is beginning. There have been some very constructive comments after the presentation about engaging in a national debate, and I think that's a very, very healthy sign.
Have you had a chance to read the SAGE Commission?
I haven't, but I have had it précédé to me. And there are a number of good issues that have been laid out, but again, I haven't read it in enough depth to be able to give you a meaningful comment.
But you did touch upon one of the serious issues, and that's the private-public partnership. Do you have any particular feeling how Bermuda could fare with that?
I think all the preconditions to a successful involvement of the private sector in infrastructure exist. There are a number of things that I think need to be more fleshed out, including the regulatory process, and I think there really needs to be an appropriate or a detailed debate about what Bermuda wants and what Bermudians want Bermuda to look like over the next 25 years. The issue is largely that Bermuda has had a remarkable run, and there will be times when people have to make hard decisions. Some of those decisions may be decisions that people are comfortable with, some of them won't be. But at the same time, I think the engaging of the debate is the key thing.
Did you pick up anything that kind of makes you think that Bermuda has an edge in this striving to get our economy back in order?
My sense is that the discussion is more fulsome than I've seen in other places, and so I think it's actually good. Some of the reaction in the room afterwards was, this is the sort of discussion we as Bermudians need to have, and I think that's a very healthy thing.
In a perfect example of the kind of synergy recommended by the SAGE Commission, the Departments of Consumer Affairs and Rent Commissioner have been merged into one and located in the same government office at a saving of $320,000 a year in salaries and rentals. Announcing today that the new location for the joint operation is the De Rigo building on Reed Street. Initially, the two entities each had 5 employees, but with the retirements of both the Rent Commissioner and his assistant later this year, these 2 positions have been abolished, and the remaining 3 officers will either be retained by the Department of Consumer Affairs or they will be transferred to another government department. It is unlikely that the question of whether or not Bermuda is a tax haven will come up at the annual RIMS Insurance Conference in Denver later this month. As BDA CEO David Cash points out, most of the 10,000 delegates expected at the event know full well what Bermuda stands for and what it has accomplished.
They do clearly understand that we're not a tax haven, and people, if they think back, they realize the reason why Bermuda really came into existence, as I'll call it, the insurance market it is today, is there was a period of time in the U.S. where there was what we called a liability crisis. Municipalities are being sued, doctors are being sued, companies are being sued, and that growth in litigation created the need for new insurance policies. And ironically, it turned out that U.S. regulation made it almost impossible for U.S. insurance companies to sell the policies their clients wanted. And the only way to really fix that gap was we created 2 companies in Bermuda, Ace and Excel, that sold insurance on a different basis from what was being sold before, and that solved the needs of those clients. So never in those sentences is the word tax. It was really about solving a market need quicker than it could be solved anywhere else, getting good quality underwriters on the ground and companies up and running quickly, literally in a matter of months. And so when people sort of focus on the tax question in Bermuda, it's never really been that. This is the one market where you can form a company quickly and respond to a new need quickly. And the truth be told, that really matters. It mattered before, it matters even more today.
We managed to get the US Consul General to say that America, White House included, had now accepted that Bermuda was not a tax haven. So you've got some pretty good credentials there.
That's very true. I mean, when you look at international business, if you look at the OECD and their pronouncements on taxation, they'd say they're trying to make sure that people do not wrongfully avoid tax, but they're not trying to stop countries from having different tax regimes. And Bermuda has a tax regime that's finely tuned to support insurance and reinsurance. We don't tax capital gains. We allow capital to build up in the company to be there to pay claims for clients when they have them, and at a point in time where someone chooses to sell the stock they might have in a company, that would be a taxable event in their home country. So there's always an expectation people will pay taxes, and Bermuda has always worked to do that.
Shadow Education Minister Walton Brown has taken issue with the fact that the Hopkins report's call for parental involvement in education has been ignored, and that nothing has been done this year to select teachers for voluntary or compulsory transfer to another school. He was asked by Vsb News' Brian Dobby why he connected the two issues.
Action is more of a disconnection, because what happened is that last year there was an undertaking by the government to pass the appropriate legislation to deal with this issue. Our proposal from the PRP side was that legislation wasn't required. What's instead required is a framework whereby parents, teachers, and the ministry can agree a structure by which these transfers can take place. Transfers are necessary for any number of reasons, and it is important to have parental involvement. And so we proposed creating this framework so that once the framework was in place and agreed by all the key parties, there would never again be an issue, because parents will be involved in the decision-making process, not as the deciding factor, but as a contributing person or group of people on that panel. And that, in our view, is the way forward. And in the absence of this, then you have chaos. And so yet again we have another year going by in which there are no teacher transfers. And that ultimately is not going to be in the best interest of students.
Also, in the Hopkins report, they were very strongly in support of the idea of teachers, of parents being involved in the teaching procession.
The Hopkins report was based on a considerable amount of research, and the research shows that when parents are involved, student performance increases. And so you want to have parents involved, and that's why it's so important to have a framework. What we need in place now is for the minister to demonstrate his commitment and concern about these issues. We have effectively an absentee minister, because we need the minister to say, here's the way forward, here's how we're going to handle this issue. And to date, there's been nothing undertaken.
A 51-year-old man appeared in magistrate's court this morning on charges of illegally employing a Jamaican national. Ricky Johnson pleaded not guilty to unlawfully employing Owen Morrison on March of this year at Ricky's Auto Garage in Wellbottom, Southampton. Mr. Morrison had appeared in court prior to today and had pleaded not guilty, but it appears that he had since fled the island prior to his trial that was scheduled for March 31st. Johnson was granted $2,000 bail and will return to court for trial in July. Still ahead on the TV 11 News is Che with the weather preview.
Hey, thanks, Peter. Let's take a look at the Doppler radar. And you can see here there is a big line of showers that appears to be headed our way. Either that or a giant snake. I'll tell you what it is coming up later.
The weather radar picture provided courtesy of the Ministry of Transport on Vsb Tv 11.
Perfect for your fish cakes, Ocean's Finest Codfish, only $6.99 for a 400-gram bag. Save $1.50 per pound on fresh green beans, only $2.49 per pound. Save 95 cents on Hunt's Ketchup 35-ounce squeeze bottle, only $2.49. Snack on Wise potato chips, only $1.49 for a 3.75-ounce bag. Your choice of regular, diet, cherry, or zero Coca-Cola soda, only $4.99 for a six-pack. All stores open until 10 p.m. for your shopping convenience. You can count on us.
Diagnostic service at its best. Stop by Bermuda's premier automobile dealership and service center. Auto Solutions. Whirl with us.
We knew Mom needed a caregiver. A friend told us about Bermuda at-home services, and Mom can't wait to tell you how helpful they are.
They are wonderful. They help me with all my hygienic needs, prepare my meals, assist me with my medication, and much, much more. But most of all, they are very reliable and friendly.
There is also a great residential and office cleaning service that we offer. Call 541-2247 or email bahs@northrock.bm. Your home care under one roof.
By the end of the year, Bermuda will be seen worldwide on primetime TV by way of a 12-part series called Ocean Vet that will be showcasing our marine life. Heading the project was local veterinarian Neil Burney, who spoke to VSB's Julia Smatt about the exciting project.
We have a variety of species that are going to be on display, and some of the ones that people will be most familiar with are the humpback whale, the blue marlin, the tiger shark, the lionfish. But we're also going to show you some more hidden species, like how many people know that we have 6-gill sharks living next to Bermuda, up to 18 feet long and weighing up to nearly 1,800, 2,000 pounds, living within probably a mile of our south shore. Nobody sees them, but we know they're there.
So those types of sharks specifically, would they come inshore, or what's the deal with them?
The 6-gill shark lives in deep water, and so we have to set lines down almost half a mile down, probably. And sometimes they're caught as an incidental or bycatch by commercial fishermen looking for other species. And if they get tangled up in the lines, oftentimes they're killed. And we hope to show that they can survive if they're treated well and released. And we're going to try to capture one and put a tag in it. We're not going to capture it, but when the commercial fishermen capture them and they tell us they've got one, we're going to put a tag in it so that we can see whether it survives.
And what are some of the, maybe one or two most interesting things that you've learned throughout the process of creating this series, things that maybe you didn't know prior to creating this series?
How difficult it is to work with marine life on cue, on camera, make sure everything sets up, and how important it is to have a first-class team.
How valuable do you think this is as far as Bermuda is concerned, with maybe even bringing attention to the island, bringing attention to our sea life, etc.?
Priceless. I don't think you can put a price on it. If this takes off as we expect it to, it's going to put Bermuda primetime TV around the world. And everything's going to be in a good light. It's going to have the reefs, it's going to have the marlin fishery, we're going to have Challenger banks, we're going to have humpback whales displayed in full HD, super slow-mo. The photography is just first rate.
People will be able to preview the series on Monday night at the Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute. Tickets are available through BUEI. Nowadays, people have access to a wealth of information just by searching for a topic via Google or another search engine. This has led to people not frequenting the library as much as they used to. Senior Library Assistant Shirlene Swan-Casey spoke to Julia Smatt about this phenomenon, as well as an upcoming library expo that will be taking place next week.
The difference now is the teachers emphasize more when they're doing their citations that, just getting a Google search, which could be me going on and saying I know everything about apples, and they use my site or my blog to say, oh, well, I got it on that blog. It's not actually relevant because they want scholarly articles and things that are assured and have been written by professionals, and so that it has to actually be effective and be true. It can't be anything that, because internet will give you any kind of information you want, but not necessarily is it correct and factual. So the lecturers expect their students in Bermuda or anywhere in universities and colleges, they expect that they're going to get scholarly and actually academic and real information that's been written by professionals. So we're hoping people are going to come out on that day. First of all, some who've never set foot even on the college campus, to see that we are a relevant college, and even as adults, it doesn't matter what age you are. We have a senior learning center that they can come and just do courses with them. But on that day, we want people to come and show their products, show the technology, show what is useful for the public here in Bermuda, because we have an advantage in that we have so many libraries across the island and people are not aware.
The Library Expo will take place next week and will feature information on libraries across the island. The expo will take place at the Bermuda College on April the 17th from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. Now, here's a look at the daily markets, presented by Bias.
Global equity markets rose on Wednesday after better-than-expected corporate results boosted sentiment on the outlook for first quarter earnings. In the U.S., stocks rose today as minutes from the Federal Reserve's last meeting eased concern about the timing of future interest rate hikes. The S&P 500 rose 1.09% and the Nasdaq gained 1.72%. Today on the Bermuda Stock Exchange, 1,700 shares of Bank of Butterfield traded unchanged at $1.99, and 100 shares of Argus Group changed hands as the price rose 19.26% to $4.83. European stocks advanced after a two-day decline as car makers climbed. The FTSE 100 rose 0.68%, while the CAC 40 gained 0.4%. Asian markets gained on Wednesday as Chinese stimulus efforts to head off a slowdown in growth helped to buoy markets. Latin American markets declined on Wednesday as investors pocketed recent gains, while Brazilian stocks were further pressured by higher-than-expected inflation data. Treasury two-year notes rallied after Federal Reserve policymakers said projections for an interest rate rise were overstated in minutes from its last meeting. The dollar weakened to its lowest level in more than 5 months versus major trading peers after the Federal Reserve minutes with the dollar trading at $1.39 to the euro. And that was a look at the daily markets brought to you by Bias. There's more news after this.
Save $1 on your choice of Bermuda-grown romaine or green leaf lettuce. Only $2.49 per package. Save $1.50 per pound on fresh Purdue chicken thighs. Value packs, only $1.99 per pound. Great savings of 90 cents on an imported dozen white eggs, only $2.59. For your baking needs, bluebonnet margarine sticks, 1-pound box, $1.59. Big savings of $1.69 on Atlantic sugar, 4-pound bag, only $2.10. All stores open until 10 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
Copyfax is Bermuda's authorized Samsung dealer. See a large range of Samsung color and black and white multifunctional machines, printers, scanners, faxes, and copiers, and all net workable. Copyfax has Samsung machines suitable for home, office, or any size business in an A4 format, taking up less room than other similar equipment. And replacement supplies are in stock for all of their Samsung products. Affordable shopping at Copyfax Limited, where service comes first.
Things change rapidly in acute care medicine, and it's critical that the community has access to the latest technology so that we can continue to improve services to people most in need. Even though we are not a direct part of the team at the King Edward, as a family physician, I believe I still have a responsibility to give towards creating this new acute care wing. It's important for each of us to contribute what we can, and collectively we can make a huge difference.
Call 295-BHCT.
A gentle reminder from the Office of the Tax Commissioner. It's tax time again. Taxpayers are reminded that payroll tax returns and corporate service tax returns for the quarter ending 31st March 2014 are due on or before Tuesday, 15th of April 2014. Hotel occupancy tax returns for the month ended 31st March 2014 are also due on or before Tuesday, 15th of April 2014. Full payment must accompany returns, otherwise penalties will apply. Taxpayers who are currently eligible for payroll tax relief under the retail, restaurant or hotel concessions must also file completed returns on or before the deadline. Failure to do so will result in penalties. For more information, visit www.taxbermuda.gov.bm or call 297-7807, 297-7750 or 297-7751, making your taxes a little less taxing.
Hi, I'm Peter Javetic, host of Season to Taste. Easter greetings to you all and welcome back to the first show of the second season. I'll be here on Tuesday night with Vsb Tv 11 News, where I'll be preparing this lovely dish of lamb, which is crusted with pine nuts, rosemary and Dijon mustard, and find out from Neil what the Gosling's wine of the week is.
Tuesday, during the Vsb Tv 11 News.
The head coach of the North Village Rams, Ralph Bean Jr., is one game away from completing his first full season at the helm. This Sunday, the Rams take on the Dandytown Hornets in the prestigious FA Challenge Cup final. The match was washed out last week Sunday, and we asked Gumbo Bean what effect has the delay had on his team.
Obviously, it's a little bit disappointing. You prepare for a day, and when it comes, if it doesn't go the way that you expected, then there's a little bit of disappointment. But obviously, you know, those decisions have to be made, and they're made by other people, and you just have to live with it.
Yeah. What about the effect on the players?
I mean, you can look at it a couple ways. I think the best way to look at it, and I tell my team this, is just an extra week to prepare. And what you may not have been prepared for before, you get an extra week to do so.
All right. Dandytown Hornets recently edged out the Rams for the league title. Can you stop them from winning the double? And I'm sure there must be a taste of revenge in the air.
You can. That adds a little bit of extra emotion that really is, you know, in some ways it can be detrimental. So we try to, again, I try to make sure that we separate each competition. Yeah, they're all different, and you have to approach them differently. Our motivation to win a trophy should not be different. Looking at any circumstance, we should be motivated to win regardless of who we're playing and what we did against that particular team in a different competition.
Yeah. What about all the space at the sports center? Big field.
Yeah. To be quite honest with you, you know, the National Stadium isn't as big as people may think. But there tends to be a little bit more space out there, and the best thing to do is to try to utilize that space as much as possible, and then when you're defending, to try to close it up as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, Gumbo, your first full season as head coach over there. Last season, half the way through, you jumped in. But how would you rate your performance?
Most, you know, I look at things relatively, and I look at relative to where we were last season and how we ended. I would have to say that we've made some progress this season. But then again, relative to what's expected of at North Village, we haven't quite accomplished what we're used to doing.
A gentle reminder from the Office of the Tax Commissioner. It's tax time again. Taxpayers are reminded that payroll tax returns and corporate service tax returns for the quarter ending 31st March 2014 are due on or before Tuesday, 15th of April 2014. Hotel occupancy tax returns for the month ended 31st March 2014 are also due on or before Tuesday, 15th of April 2014. Full payment must accompany returns, otherwise penalties will apply. Taxpayers who are currently eligible for payroll tax relief under the retail, restaurant or hotel concessions must also file completed returns on or before the deadline. Failure to do so will result in penalties. For more information, visit www.taxbermuda.gov.bm or call 297-7807, 297-7750 or 297-7751, making your taxes a little less taxing.
April is Environmental Awareness Month, and Vsb Tv 11 is airing relevant documentaries exploring environmental issues concerning all of us on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. for the month of April. Sponsored by Auto Solutions, Roll With Us, Belco, The Power to Save, and Lindo's, Why Go Anyplace Else? Environmental Awareness Month on Vsb Tv 11.
Choose to be healthy, Bermuda. Get out there and exercise with a sunscreen, hat, and shirt on every day. Eat healthy, don't smoke, and check your brown spots once a month to detect skin cancer early. anything growing darker, bigger, jagged borders needs to be checked. Wear your sunscreen, hat, and shirt every day. Be sun safe, Bermuda.
Well, today reminded me kind of those radio callers that you hear sometimes. A lot of hot air, a lot of wind, not much going on. I'm Jay Barker. This is your weather. Let's take a look at our weather shot for today. Today's shot, Richard Lee at 3:45 over Devonshire Bay, and you can see that wind that I was talking about, the white caps off in the distance. But this is how you know you live in a beautiful place. Look at that, stormy, rough, and it's still gorgeous. Thanks to Richard Lee for sending in another great shot for this week. We've had quite a few. Our highs and lows. Our high today, we saw 75 at 2 p.m. Our low temperature, 4 a.m. this morning, 70 degrees. Currently, we're looking at 71 degrees, humidity of 85%. Winds out of the south-southwest at 25, all the way gusts up to 40 knots, and the barometric pressure is falling at 29.77 inches. For April, we haven't seen rain in a couple of days, so it's still at that 0.99 of an inch, brings our total to 20.08 inches, but we're still way up on that 15.89 we'd have normally seen. Take a look at the satellite map. Well, strong to near gale force winds with storm force gusts will slowly taper off this evening as the cold front advances, bringing showers and gradually veering of winds to the westerly later. Now, behind that front, strong winds gradually veer northerly early on Thursday with easing winds and fair weather into the weekend as high pressure then builds in over the area. In the gateway cities, it'll be 72 and sunny in Atlanta, 60 and mostly sunny in Boston, 73 and sunny in Charlotte. London, it's mostly cloudy and 63, 80 degrees and mostly sunny in Miami. New York, mostly sunny, 62 degrees, 80 and partly cloudy in Orlando. In Philadelphia, it's 68 and mostly sunny, 55, partly cloudy in Toronto. And Washington, mostly sunny and 68 degrees. For tonight, we're looking at a low temperature of around 66, mostly cloudy with a few showers. Winds out of the south-southwest at 26 to 32 knots, but you can see gusts all the way up to 50 knots storm force. They will gradually veer to the west and decrease to 18 to 24 knots. For tomorrow, decreasing clouds after a lingering shower or two early, high of only 69. Winds out of the northwest at 18 to 22 knots. Then they'll be to the north during the morning, and then out of the northeast later at 12 to 18 knots. For tonight, there is a small craft warning in effect. Seas inside the reef 3 to 4 feet. Seas outside the reef, it is rough out there, 8 to 12 feet, and your sea temperature moved all the way up to 71 degrees. For mariners tomorrow, there is a small craft warning in effect through the morning. Seas inside the reef 2 to 3 feet. Seas outside 2 to 3 feet. High tide at 5:36 a.m. and then low tide at 12:10 p.m. Let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. On Thursday, decreasing clouds after a lingering shower or two earlier, high of 69. Friday, mostly sunny, high of around 70. Saturday, sunny periods, high of 71. Sunday, mix of sun and clouds, high of 72. And Monday, scattered clouds, high of 71. I'd like to thank the Bermuda Weather Service for all their help, and a special shout out to my new friends that I met over at Kroll Gas Station, Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support. That's it for me. Have a good night. See you real soon.
Peter Cattell's attire, courtesy of A.S. Cooper & Sons Limited.
Vsb TV 11, Bermuda.